Well, hello, it is winter and it's time to do a wolf painting. And this is going to be mixed media tips and techniques, so it's going to be a layering process. And right now I am starting off with some high flow acrylics, teal and titanium white to get the white out of the canvas. I'm just using your basic hardware store squeegee and a spray bottle of water to get the paint to kind of move. I don't want a solid block of color. So once that had completely dried, with the aid of a blow dryer, I'm gonna admit that I use a blow dryer sometimes to speed up the process because I'm impatient. So I'm going in with Payne's Gray and I'm kind of just sectioning off part of the canvas and giving it a little bit of a washed out look. The spray bottle is really good for that. In conjunction with Master Squeegee, of course. One of the ways that you can do some mark making is by using a palette knife on your not completely dried acrylic paint, and it creates some interesting scratches and it's kind of cool. I like doing it. Not every time, but I do like doing it. Foam brushes are actually really cool too for giving a kind of misty effect, and so I use foam brushes throughout this. You can also apply paint directly onto the canvas and then use the squeegee to spread it around, or dip your squeegee right into paint and then see what happens with it. So I'm using a blue gray and then mixing it a little bit with a Payne's Gray. I've got some white mixing in there now, so it kind of gives it this grungy look, which is really cool, and I happen to like it. And then using palette knives, of course, to spread paint and kind of get that almost like it almost has like a splatter effect when you spread it with the flat side of the palette knife right across there. So I tried to transfer my sketch onto the canvas, and the only thing that I had available for transfer paper was yellow Serral paper, and so the transferred sketch really didn't show up, so I kind of had to freehand a lot of it because I couldn't see any of the sketch. I could only see it in the dark parts. But what I'm using is I'm just using a Prussian blue acrylic ink in order to sketch in the outline of the wolf, which isn't perfect, but it did the job, and that was the important thing. All the refinement comes in later anyway, so it wasn't that big a deal. But yeah, it was a little bit annoying because I had done this wolf sketch and it was like, oh, this is perfect. And yeah, things don't always work out according to plan. Maybe if I had some graphite paper, but yeah, no, I didn't. So now I'm just kind of filling in the wolf with some Payne's Gray acrylic ink mixed with water so that it's transparent, and it makes it so that I can actually see the outline of the wolf a bit better. So right there, you can see where the Serral paper actually worked. And now I'm doing a little bit of work on the legs so I can actually see them better, and adding a little bit of yellow ochre mixed with titanium white, just to add another color. I'm starting to add some more colors into the wolf. I tend to add more subtle color at the beginning because I'm not really sure how I'm going to like it. So I mix it with titanium white so it's not like this bright, yellow. Another tool that I really enjoy using are these foam rollers. You can get them really cheap at Hobby Lobby, and they work great for creating a misting effect. And if you want to still see some of what's underneath there, but you can just lightly roll an opaque and it does create a really cool mist. So I decided that I really couldn't see the wolf's butt because of it would just blended in too much with the background, and so the hindquarters needed to come forward a little bit for me to be able to see what was going on back there. And so I started adding some just light brush strokes, and see, I'm adding a little bit of that yellow ochre to add some more color into the wolf's fur again. And you'll see that there are so many layers of paint that go on this wolf, because it took me a while to actually be happy with the wolf. At one point I kind of lost a little bit of the arch of the back, and that didn't go well at all, but it all came back. So I'm adding some musical notes because the wolf is howling and it seems somewhat musical. And then I have these really cool solid paint markers by Sakura, and they're great for giving a crayon effect. So I did some mark making in the background with that as well. So this is a silicone brush, kind of. It's like it looks like a paintbrush, but it's silicone on the end of it. And I got these from Hobby Lobby, and they're great for creating lines and also for just spreading blocks of paint. I really like them, not for everything, but if you want to just use the tip of it, you can get these really cool lines. You can spread the paint really nice and thin. It's another way of getting some really cool blocks of paint. I also like to put patterns into things, and so I'm using I don't know where I got that stencil. I think it was from Michael's a really long time ago, but I use Liquitex spray paints as well as the Montana water-based spray paints, and they work really well for use with acrylic painting, because you can still paint acrylic over them as well. So I decided that I was going to collage in some of my own poetry, so I wrote out a little excerpt from a longer poem that I had written onto rice paper, and I collaged it in using matte medium, and you get the bubbles out by using a catalyst wedge. So the great thing about rice paper is rice paper pretty much becomes transparent, so all you'll see is the writing. And then this acrylic part is done. So one of my most commonly asked questions is why I like to finish my paintings with oil paint. One reason is that acrylic paint is pretty flat and oil paint is not, and so it actually adds a lot of depth and dimension to the painting. The other thing is that oil paint, when you use it in thin layers of glazes, you can actually really change some of the color shifts within the painting. So I'm using some of the cooler colors in the background to make the background recede more and to make the wolf pop forward more. And this is an amazing quality that oil paint has that acrylic paint doesn't really possess. So you can also glaze different colors, like to make things a little bit pinker or a little bit more orange. And I use a Galca gel medium with my oil paints because not only does it make the oil paint more transparent, but it also speeds up the drying process. So your painting with oils will actually be dry within a few days, touch dry. And it makes it a lot easier if you want to sell your paintings quickly, because you can then use a Gamvar varnish by Gamblin, which is a breathable varnish, and your painting continues to cure while it's already varnished, so you can actually sell your painting. And because you used the Galca medium, your painting had become touch dry way quicker than it would be if you used a carrier oil or anything like that in order to thin out your oil paint. So, I mean, once again, the oil paint makes everything look so much butterier and creamier, and it's just really beautiful. So we're almost at the end of this video, but I did want to say that if you wanted to see the hour-long tutorial for this particular painting, I do have a Patreon, and I'm not you know, requesting that anybody go over there unless they really want to and they want to support me and my work, but also get full-length real-time tutorials to learn a lot of these techniques. And if you do, great. If you don't, I am still going to be posting my regular material on YouTube. So thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. I will see you next time. Bye.